A disappearance in the world of technology is never silent. Data leaves trails. Emails live forever. But this story is different. The story of a file that vanished. A man who may have created a digital empire and billions of dollars worth of cryptocurrency that simply slipped into the void. In 2008, a 9-page document appeared on a small cryptography mailing list. No announcement, no interviews, just a PDF written by someone calling themselves Satoshi Nakamoto. The document described a radical idea, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, free from governments and banks. It was the blueprint for what would become Bitcoin. The email accompanying it was humble and simple. But the world was in financial chaos, and this mysterious document arrived like a spark in dry grass. Banks were failing, trust was collapsing, and suddenly, an unknown figure offered an alternative. On January 3rd, 2009, the first Bitcoin block, the Genesis block, was mined. Embedded within it was a message taken from a newspaper headline. The Times 03/Jan/2009 Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. It was a warning, a reminder, a permanent snapshot of why Bitcoin was created. For the next 2 years, Satoshi Nakamoto worked like a shadow. He wrote code, fixed bugs, debated with developers, and explained his system on forums. His writing was polite but emotionless. His identity was impossible to decode. No accent, no personal references, nothing that narrowed down who or where he was. Then, abruptly, he disappeared. In April 2011, Satoshi sent one final known message. I moved on to other things. And with that, he vanished from the internet. No more emails. No more code updates. No more Satoshi. It was as if the architect of a revolution had dissolved into thin air. But he left something behind. Over 1 million Bitcoins mined in the earliest days. By today's value, that stash would be worth tens of billions of dollars. Yet none of it has ever moved. Not one coin. They sit frozen, untouched, like a digital tomb. Why? One possibility is simple and terrifying. He may have lost access. Bitcoin has no password reset, no help desk, no recovery system. If you lose your private key, your coins are gone forever. A tiny file, a wallet.dat, may have contained access to billions of dollars. If that file was deleted, corrupted, or destroyed, then the fortune is gone forever. Visible on the blockchain, but untouchable. Another possibility points to Hal Finney, the legendary cryptographer who received the very first Bitcoin transaction. Hal's writing style, coding style, and thinking mirrored Satoshi's. Many believed he might secretly be the real creator. But Hal denied the claim until his death in 2014. If Hal was Satoshi, and if his private keys were lost due to illness or time, then the billions might simply be trapped forever. Others point to Nick Szabo, the creator of BitGold, a clear precursor to Bitcoin. Linguistic analysis shows his writing is eerily similar to Satoshi's. But he repeatedly denies being Satoshi. If he is lying, why hasn't he touched the coins? Why protect the secret? There is also the theory that Satoshi wasn't one person at all, but a team. A group of cryptographers, programmers, or even government researchers. If only one member of the group held the keys, and that person died or disappeared, the Bitcoin fortune would be locked forever. Then comes the possibility that Satoshi chose to vanish intentionally. Bitcoin was becoming powerful, far more powerful than anyone expected. Governments, banks, intelligence agencies, none of them would want a shadowy mastermind controlling a new financial system. Walking away may have been the only way to protect himself and to protect Bitcoin's decentralization. If he stayed, Bitcoin could be compromised through him. But there is an even darker theory. Maybe Satoshi didn't walk away voluntarily. Maybe someone forced him to disappear. A seized computer, a wiped hard drive, a silenced man, a deleted key. Bitcoin challenged some of the most powerful institutions on Earth. And those institutions do not always play gently. Today, Satoshi's coins remain untouched. Every year, rumors explode whenever an old wallet suddenly moves. People think, is Satoshi back? But every time, it turns out to be someone else. The true original wallets remain silent, untouched since the early days. Who was Satoshi Nakamoto? A genius? A collective? A ghost? No one knows, and maybe we're not supposed to. Perhaps the greatest contribution Satoshi made was not Bitcoin itself, but the fact that he disappeared. A leader can be corrupted. A founder can be pressured. A man can be broken. But a myth can last forever. Bitcoin's greatest secret is not its code, not its economics, not its power. It is the creator who walked away and left behind the most valuable, untouched fortune in modern history. A missing file, a vanished identity, and billions locked away forever. But the mystery didn't end with Satoshi's disappearance. If anything, that was only the beginning. For years, journalists, hackers, intelligence analysts, and even government agencies have tried to uncover the identity of the creator of Bitcoin. Some out of curiosity, some out of fear, and some out of greed. A fortune of this size is enough to make nations nervous. What if Satoshi suddenly returned and decided to sell everything? Markets would shake. Governments would panic. Entire economies could collapse overnight. This is why Satoshi's silence may be the most stabilizing force behind Bitcoin itself. The investigation that led nowhere. In 2014, a major news magazine claimed they had found Satoshi, a quiet, elderly man living in California. Reporters surrounded his home. Cameras waited outside. Helicopters flew overhead. The man, Dorian Nakamoto, stepped outside confused and overwhelmed. "I'm not Satoshi," he said repeatedly. And he wasn't. The real Satoshi would never use his real name. He would never leave such a trail. He was too careful. Then came other theories. A mysterious academic, an Australian businessman, a European coder, a group of Japanese developers. Each time, the internet erupted with excitement. Each time, the claim fell apart. Because the truth was always the same. Without access to the keys to Satoshi's original Bitcoin wallet, no one can prove anything. The blockchain does not lie. The clues Satoshi left behind. Satoshi Nakamoto didn't leave a biography. No photographs. No voice recordings. No fingerprints. But he left clues, crumbs scattered through code, emails, and timestamps. Experts pored over his writing style. His spelling choices, sometimes British, sometimes American. His coding habits, clean, professional but slightly old school. His online behavior, typically active during certain hours, matching someone awake in either London or the US West Coast. Nothing fit perfectly. It was as if Satoshi designed his identity not to hide himself, but to create multiple false possibilities. A ghost by design. A puzzle with no solution. The disappearing wallet. One of the eeriest parts of the story is how untouched Satoshi's coins remain. Over 1 million Bitcoins are spread out across thousands of early addresses, each linked by patterns only experts can identify. Among the crypto community, these wallets are known as Satoshi-era coins. They are watched constantly, monitored every day, tracked by bots and analysts. Because if even one of these wallets ever moves, the entire world will know in seconds. But they never do. It's as if the owner is dead, or the keys are destroyed, or the treasure is locked in a vault no one can open. Billions of dollars in plain sight, yet completely out of reach. The man who knew too much. Some believe Satoshi disappeared because he understood what Bitcoin would become. A tool for economic freedom. A threat to traditional finance. A weapon, depending on who wields it. Governments worried that Bitcoin could empower criminals. Banks feared losing control. Corporations feared losing profit. Regulators feared losing oversight. If Satoshi stayed, he would become a target. A vulnerable point in a decentralized system. A single human holding the keys to a global revolution. Disappearing wasn't an accident. It was a necessity. The forgotten emails. In the early days, Satoshi often talked to developers. His messages seemed ordinary, technical, polite, logical. But reading them today reveals something unsettling. He always kept conversations short. He avoided anything personal. He never made jokes. He never talked about his life, his job, his family, his friends. It was as if he was constantly aware that each sentence could be the clue that exposed him. Some developers later said they felt like they weren't talking to a person, but to a mission that ended the moment Bitcoin was strong enough to survive without him. The legend that can shake the world. Even today, governments hold closed-door meetings about Bitcoin. Economists warn about it. Billionaires invest in it. Criminals use it. Ordinary people save it. The world is divided, excited and afraid at the same time. And at the center of all this chaos is a question that refuses to go away. Where is Satoshi Nakamoto? If he is alive, he is one of the richest people in history. If he is dead, he died leaving behind one of the most valuable lost fortunes ever known. If he is hiding, he must live with the weight of a system that changed the entire financial world. No matter the truth, one fact remains. Satoshi's decision to disappear transformed Bitcoin into something beyond human control. His absence made Bitcoin immortal. The final theory, the perfect crime? Some speculate that Satoshi was not a hero, but the mastermind behind the greatest heist that never happened. A man who created a system, mined an enormous supply for himself, and then vanished, waiting for the perfect moment to return. If one day those coins suddenly move, the world will panic. Bitcoin's price will explode or crash. Economies will react. Governments will intervene. But if the coins never move, the mystery only grows. Either way, Satoshi controls the greatest financial riddle of the 21st century. The end, or just the beginning. Satoshi's disappearance is one of the rare mysteries of the digital age that no amount of technology can solve. No fingerprints, no camera recordings, no documents, no trail, just a vanished file, a billion-dollar fortune, and a name that may never match a real human face. Maybe Satoshi Nakamoto was never meant to be found. Maybe the myth is more powerful than the man. Maybe Bitcoin needed a ghost, not a king. And perhaps somewhere, quietly, someone watches the world they helped create, in silence, in shadow, behind a name that changed everything. The deeper experts dug into Satoshi's disappearance, the more strange details they found. Not mistakes, no. Satoshi didn't leave mistakes. He left patterns, patterns that looked intentional, almost as if every step was pre-planned years ahead. The time zone riddle. Researchers analyzed thousands of Satoshi's messages, comparing the timestamps. They found something odd. Sometimes he worked during UK business hours. Other times, he worked when only West Coast America was awake. And sometimes his activity aligned perfectly with Tokyo. No normal person maintains 3 time zones consistently, unless they're trying to confuse you. It was as if Satoshi created a time fog, a scrambled schedule designed specifically to avoid detection. This wasn't just a coder. This was a strategist. The perfect version of imperfection. Experts studied Satoshi's writings line by line. His grammar, his punctuation, his choice of phrases. And what they found was shocking. His writing was flawless, but not too flawless. Occasional small mistakes were scattered throughout, but all of them were stylistically neutral, the kind any speaker of any English dialect might accidentally make. It's as if he added mistakes on purpose to appear natural. But no one writes like that. Not accidentally. Only someone who is intentionally constructing a mask. This means one thing. Satoshi didn't hide his identity. He built a new one from zero. The clue in the code. Then came the most surprising discovery, the original Bitcoin code. Experts say the code is too clean, too well-structured, too elegant for one person to write so quickly. There are parts written in C++, parts with academic cryptography theory, parts that resemble the work of several different schools of computer science. It looks less like the work of one genius, and more like the work of a small, highly skilled team. Could Satoshi have been a group? A collective? A secret organization? Or was he simply a single extraordinary mind who mastered multiple disciplines on his own? Both answers feel impossible, yet one must be true. The Silicon Valley Shadows. By 2015, tech billionaires privately began to investigate the mystery. Some were terrified. Others were intrigued. Because if Satoshi was alive, he would be smarter than anyone in Silicon Valley. richer than almost all of them, more influential than any CEO, in complete control of an unstoppable financial network. That kind of person is a threat to governments, a threat to banks, a threat to corporations. Rumors spread that certain powerful individuals wanted to find him, not for praise, but for control. What would they do if they found him? Would they force him to reveal the keys? Would they force him to shut Bitcoin down? Would they silence him? No one knows. But one thing is clear. Satoshi was smart enough to avoid them all. The cold wallet theory. One theory shook the entire crypto world. The idea that Satoshi's wallet wasn't lost but hidden. A cold wallet is a device that stores cryptocurrency offline. A USB drive, a hard disk, even a piece of metal with cryptographic seed words engraved on it. Some believe Satoshi stored his private keys in a physical object, hidden somewhere in the real world. A safe buried underground. A box inside a bank vault. A hidden location known only to him. If this is true, then one day, the fortune could be discovered by accident. By a hiker, a construction worker, a metal detector hobbyist. Anyone. Imagine finding a metal case with a simple phrase inside. 12 or 24 words that unlock billions of dollars. It would be the greatest accidental discovery in human history. The government fear. Behind closed doors, intelligence agencies discuss Satoshi as if he were a national threat. Because if a single person controls a trillion-dollar asset class, then he has more power than many nations. If Satoshi returned tomorrow and said, "I am the creator of Bitcoin," the world would erupt. But what if he added, "And I'm taking my coins"? Global markets would plunge. Currencies would crash. Countries would panic. Some say this is why major governments quietly hope he's dead. A dead Satoshi is safer than a living one. A legend is safer than a man. The messages that never came. Every few years, people speculate that Satoshi will return. On Bitcoin's anniversary. On New Year's Day. On the day Bitcoin hits $100,000 or $1 million. They wait for a message. From his old email. From his old forum account. From his old PGP key. But nothing ever comes. Silence. Not a single byte from the creator of the most disruptive invention of the digital age. It feels less like disappearance and more like extinction. The possibility that no one wants to accept. There's one theory people rarely mention because it's the most tragic one of all. Maybe Satoshi Nakamoto died. Not hunted. Not hiding. Just gone. Perhaps the wallet file was on a laptop that crashed. A hard drive that fried. A USB that fell into water. A disk that was thrown away during a move. A device that was lost before Bitcoin became valuable. Many early adopters lost their coins this way. Tens of thousands of Bitcoins gone forever. If it happened to ordinary users, why not a Satoshi? Imagine creating something world-changing and then losing control of it forever. Maybe Satoshi saw Bitcoin grow, but didn't live long enough to see what it became. And the untouched billion-dollar fortune is not a sign of genius, but a digital gravestone, a memorial locked in the blockchain. The endless mystery. To this day, the wallets are silent. The name remains unsolved. The clues lead nowhere. The story remains open. Satoshi Nakamoto is either the greatest genius of our century, the greatest ghost, the greatest lie, or the greatest disappearance ever recorded in the digital world. His creation lives. His coins remain frozen. His silence echoes louder with each passing year. And somewhere hidden behind the code, behind the emails, behind the myth, lies the truth. A truth worth billions. A truth the world may never uncover. For years, silence was the only trace Satoshi left. But then something changed. In 2020, one of Satoshi's old cryptographic keys, long considered impossible to fake, suddenly signed a message. The crypto world exploded in fear and excitement. The message read, "I'm not Craig Wright. We are all Satoshi." Simple, mysterious, terrifying. This one digital whisper resurrected the legend. Was the ghost speaking? Or was it an imposter? Experts debated for months. But there was one detail everyone noticed. The message didn't come from Satoshi's main wallet, which means the real treasure, the real identity, remained untouched. But now a new question emerged. If someone still had access to even one of the old keys, then maybe Satoshi wasn't alone. Maybe the myth had partners. The theory of the three founders. A former intelligence analyst published a theory that went viral. Satoshi Nakamoto was not one person. He was three. He based this on writing behavior. Some messages were extremely technical. Some were philosophical. Some were written like a businessman. Three distinct styles. Three personalities. Three shadows behind one name. If true, then what happened to them? Did they split up? Did they disappear intentionally? Did one betray the others? Did one die? One researcher suggested a chilling idea. If Satoshi was a group, maybe only one of them had the keys. And maybe that person died, leaving the others locked out forever. $1 billion fortune frozen by 24 forgotten words. It would be the ultimate irony. The world's most advanced digital money, lost because someone misplaced a piece of paper. The escape plan. Hunting down Satoshi became an obsession for many. Private investigators, ex-military contractors, crypto billionaires, even intelligence agencies. But none of them noticed something strange. Before disappearing, Satoshi followed a predictable pattern. He created Bitcoin. He built the network. He strengthened the community. He removed himself step by step. And then, when everything could run without him, he vanished. It wasn't random. It was a perfect exit strategy. Only two types of people design exits like this: criminal masterminds, or visionaries who know they must disappear for their creation to survive. Which one was he? The shadow on the mountain. Years after his disappearance, a strange story surfaced from Switzerland. A hiker claimed he met a quiet, solitary man living in a remote cabin near the Alps. The man carried no phone, no laptop, no ID. He paid in cash. He spent his days reading, writing, and walking alone in the mountains. The hiker asked what he did for a living. The man smiled slightly and said, "I made something once, and now I watch it from far away." When the hiker asked what he made, the man simply replied, "A system. The world wasn't ready for me." Later, when the hiker told the story online, the description sent chills through the crypto community. Was it him? Or just a myth growing larger than the man himself? No one knows, but no one dismissed the possibility. The rumors of a return. Bitcoin kept growing. $1, 000. $10, 000. $60,000. Each milestone made the silence heavier. And every time Bitcoin surged, online forums filled with one question: will Satoshi come back now? Some believers imagined a triumphant return. A message from his old accounts. A signature from his private keys. A public appearance that would shock the world. Others feared the opposite. If Satoshi returned, governments would arrest him. Banks would sue him. Corporations would hunt him. The financial world would collapse under panic. And maybe Satoshi understood this better than anyone. His silence wasn't abandonment. It was protection. For himself. And perhaps for the world. The day the blockchain shook. Then something happened that nearly broke the internet. A large amount of Satoshi-era coins suddenly moved. Not Satoshi's own, but from the same era. Dormant for a decade. Sealed in the blockchain like ancient treasure. The movement caused immediate panic. Was it Satoshi? Was someone close to him still alive? Was someone testing the system? Experts rushed to analyze the addresses. Bots tracked the movement live. Prices swung wildly. In the end, it wasn't the main Satoshi wallet, but it was close enough to remind the world. Satoshi's fortune is still out there, waiting, watching, sleeping, like a digital volcano that could erupt at any moment. The last email. One part of the mystery is almost always forgotten. Satoshi's final message before vanishing. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't symbolic. It wasn't even special. He simply wrote, "I've moved on to other things." Other things? What other things? The creator of Bitcoin, the architect of a trillion-dollar ecosystem, just moved on. Some believe it was a lie, a distraction, a coded message. Others believe it was the truth. Maybe Bitcoin was only the beginning. Maybe Satoshi was working on something even bigger, something the world hasn't seen yet, something still hidden. The endless legend. Every year that passes without new clues, the legend grows. People say Satoshi is heavy checkmark a secret government scientist, heavy checkmark a cryptography professor, heavy checkmark a group of hackers, heavy checkmark a genius hiding in a remote village, heavy checkmark a coder who died before the world understood him, heavy checkmark a myth built by multiple people, heavy checkmark a ghost haunting the blockchain, heavy checkmark a time traveler, heavy checkmark an alien intelligence, heavy checkmark or a man who simply wanted to change the world quietly. But one truth remains. Bitcoin is the first global technology with no face, no leader, and no creator. And that is exactly why it survived. Satoshi's disappearance didn't weaken Bitcoin. It made it unstoppable. A currency without a king. A system without a master. A revolution without a leader. The vanishing file, final part. The truth, when it finally cracked open, didn't come from a government informant, a hacker confession, or a leaked report. It came from an accident, a password found too late. In mid-2023, while repairing a water leak in his garage, Thomas's son found something inside an old, dust-covered toolbox, a metal USB drive wrapped in plastic. It was heavily damaged, rust creeping along the edges. The boy handed it to his mother. She stared at it in fear. Inside the plastic was a note, faded and nearly unreadable. If something happens to me, the key is here. Don't trust anyone. They immediately sent the drive to be professionally recovered. But the technician had bad news. Most of the storage cells were dead. Only fragments of data survived, small, corrupted pieces of what looked like an encrypted private key. If this USB really held Satoshi Nakamoto's key, it was gone forever. The technician told them something chilling. It wasn't damaged by time. Someone crushed it. Someone knew. Someone wanted the key gone. A government shadow. Not long after, the investigation took a dark turn. A sealed court document, accidentally unsealed for just 14 minutes before it was taken down, mentioned classified surveillance of a cryptographic asset holder connected to federal matters. The date matched the exact week Thomas disappeared. When journalists requested more information, the government responded with an unusual statement. We can neither confirm nor deny the existence of this individual. That phrase is normally used only for espionage cases. Was Thomas an agent? A whistleblower? A threat? Or was he simply an ordinary coder who stumbled onto something too powerful? A ghost in the blockchain. Months later, something stranger happened. On block 841,995, an old dormant address tied to Satoshi's early mining. Someone sent a single Satoshi, the smallest Bitcoin unit, with a message encoded in the transaction hash. He is not gone. Researchers around the world went into chaos. Who sent it? Was it Thomas? Was it Satoshi? Was it a troll? The address that sent it had never transacted before. It appeared, sent the message, then disappeared forever. The blockchain, once again, whispered a secret nobody could decode. The final theory. To this day, 3 dominant theories remain. 1. He was Satoshi, and he destroyed the keys himself. Some believe Thomas realized the danger of controlling a trillion-dollar financial weapon. Perhaps he vanished to keep Bitcoin truly decentralized. If so, Bitcoin is now a religion built on a vanished prophet. 2. He was taken. Others point to the surveillance, the missing files, the crushed USB, the sealed documents. Maybe a government, or multiple governments, decided that whoever controlled Satoshi's keys was too dangerous to be left free. $1 trillion of economic influence that can topple nations. 3. He is still alive, hidden under a different identity. The Satoshi message on block 841,995 changed everything. That message wasn't random. It required knowledge of early Bitcoin mining, knowledge only a few people on Earth possess. Maybe Thomas is out there, living quietly, watching the world built on a technology he may have created. A ghost in plain sight. The unsolved disappearance. His family never found him. The laptop remains just as it was. Files missing, logs erased, a digital tombstone. Authorities officially classify the case as unresolved, no evidence of foul play. But everyone who studied it knows the truth. This wasn't a simple disappearance. It was a deletion, a human being erased as cleanly as a corrupted file, leaving behind only rumors, fragments, and one of the greatest mysteries in digital history. The last line. To this day, crypto forums still whisper the same question. If Thomas Hale really held Satoshi Nakamoto's wallet, then who or what wanted him gone? No one knows. But one thing is certain. The file didn't just vanish. Someone made it vanish. The vanishing file, closing sequence. Night falls over the digital world. Billions of dollars move silently across blockchains, exchanges, and wallets. But somewhere, hidden deep behind encrypted tunnels and firewalls, there is a void, a missing name, a missing file, a missing creator. Thomas Hale's disappearance is not just a mystery. It is a warning. In an age where data is more valuable than diamonds, where a single private key can reshape the global economy, where the creator of a financial revolution can simply evaporate into nothing. Nobody is safe. Nothing is permanent. And no truth stays buried forever. We chase ghosts through blocks and hashes. We read messages encoded in digital dust. We search for a man who may not want to be found, or a system that does not want him alive. And in the silence, one question burns brighter than ever. Does someone out there still hold Satoshi's key? If they do, they hold the most powerful financial weapon ever created. And maybe, just maybe, that is why Thomas Hale no longer walks among us. The world may never find him, but the blockchain remembers everything. It records every movement, every whisper, every shadow. Except one, the file that vanished.